Welcome to episode 296 of the Various and Sundry podcast. I am your host, Matt Harmon, joined live from our virtual studio on the internet by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host, and the man who spent his morning hanging out with giraffes, John Scott Sloat.
Part of my morning, there were other animals that I hung out with. There were red pandas, saw a tiger, saw a leopard that was that was stalking about.
Okay. Yes, so a lovely morning at the Fort Wayne Zoo.
That's right. Yeah, Fort Wayne Zoo's great.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been. Like it was far enough away that we didn't take our kids when they were young enough, and yeah, just never. I don't think I've ever been.
It's about 12 minutes from our house, so it's not far.
Do they have like walking paths there? Like, I mean, obviously, I feel like a zoo has to have more than just a bunch of cages with animals in it, right?
Yeah, so they sort of break it up into four areas. They have sort of an African safari, and so you sort of see the animals from that continent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to like an what they call, what is it? You go to like the Asian continent, and you see animals from Asia, and then they have an Australian one as well, and you see that. And then because this is Indiana, there's a farm one, and so where they have a bunch of farm animals.
Yeah.
And then sort of the main area is all the North American animals. So you get your sea otters, your sea lions, your North American lynx.
Mm.
So you get some nice North American animals, but the really cool stuff is out from other continents.
And did you get to spend any time with ostriches in the Australian continent section?
Yeah, no. So the Australian continent section did not have any ostriches. They had African ostriches, and those are much larger than the ostriches I remember seeing in Australia.
Really? And you were
Yeah.
skittish. You were skittish around the Australian ones. I can't imagine what you would have been like around the African ones.
Well, so there's a good degree of separation at the Fort Wayne Zoo. So the African safari is set up like with this big field in the middle with ostriches, zebras, and wildebeest out in the middle. And you walk around the outside of that with various cages along the way, or I don't think they call them cages, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And just, every time you look over your shoulder, there's the silhouette of the ostrich just sort of, on the horizon, letting you know he's there, doing his thing.
Yes. As I was saying before we hit record, one of my enduring memories of our trip to Sydney, Australia, was when we went to the zoo there in Sydney, and they literally just let the birds walk around, like there is no separation.
Yeah,
and you were deeply unsettled by this.
They didn't blink. They just sort of stared at you. Now, I will say, I think they were all smaller than me. The ostriches I remember in Sydney. These in Fort Wayne were much larger.
I see. Okay. Well, if you would like to contact the show and find out John's opinions on other large animals and birds, you can find us on X at VNSPod. You can email the show, variousandsunderpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and on YouTube, and we would love for you to leave a 5-star review on whatever platform it is you choose to access the show. So this is our special Labor Day edition here, John. We record on Labor Day this week. And 1 week of sort of 1 week of school under our belts. I mean, it's not a full week.
Yeah, I mean, you would know better than I would. They started Wednesday? Classes started?
That's right.
And
yes.
what classes do you have this semester, and how are they going?
So we're doing Greek 1.
Okay.
Got 19 students in person and 15 online.
It's a healthy number in person there.
And and then scripture interpretation.
Okay.
One of our core classes. I have 23 in there.
Okay. Nice.
So, yeah, looking forward to a good semester, off to a good start so far. You know, the Greek students had their first quiz. They had their alphabet quiz, which, you know, baby steps, right?
Sure. Sure.
Their first, I don't want to call it a real quiz, but is coming up this week where they have to uh, memorize first declension noun paradigms.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
And do you make them write the uppercase and lowercase
Uh,
for?
no, I just do the lowercase
Okay. Okay.
because the Greek texts we read from are basic are all lowercase with a few exceptions, and over time they pick up the uppercase letters. And it's also me trying to give them a nice, easy start. As
Yep.
you
Give them a slam dunk.
add the uppercase letters, and it ratchets up the difficulty. So
Sure.
anyway, all right, John, let's talk some sports.
Let's do it.
So a big weekend of college football. Did you watch any of it?
I saw some highlights, but that was about it. Most of my day was in the yard or outside, so I was not. Although it's been a full weekend of college football, there was Friday games, Saturday games, Sunday games, and I believe Monday. Are there games today?
There's a game tonight. Bill Belichick makes his college football debut tonight.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird.
Very strange, yes. So, well, let's start with the Ohio State Buckeyes taking down Texas 14-7.
Covered the spread.
Yes, they did.
I believe they were favored by a point and a half, I believe.
Well, what's interesting is that a lot of, again, we don't talk a lot of betting lines on this podcast, but a lot of money moved on to Texas late, so that by kickoff, Texas was actually a 1-point favorite.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hmm.
And
So
so
how did the game go? Like, so I was checking in on the score pretty regularly, and it seemed fairly neck and neck. Most of it, nobody was ever. Well, I guess Ohio State went up 2 scores at one point, but
they did.
they scored pretty early, right?
I think Ohio State scored in this. I think the first quarter was scoreless, so not till the second quarter did they score. So both teams played relatively conservatively on offense. Both teams have very good defenses,
Hmm.
and so Ohio State did manage to put together a drive in the second quarter and punched it in on 4th and goal at the 1. And that got them their early lead. Ohio State had some drops by their receivers that cost them, that prevented them from probably scoring earlier and
Okay.
obviously more. So, including 2 by Jeremiah Smith, which is just unheard of. But in any case, the couple of big takeaways from that game. Ohio State's defense is insanely good.
Hmm.
They're going to be better than last year. They had 7 guys off of their defense drafted last year, and I think they're going to be better. And in large part because even though they lost their defensive coordinator, who was very good, Jim Knowles, went to Penn State, they hired Matt Patricia.
Oh, did they? Oh, I didn't
Yes.
realize that.
Yeah, so he is their defensive coordinator. And although Patricia was a colossal failure when it came to being the head coach of the Detroit Lions, he was a very good defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah, he
And
was.
he's brought a lot of those NFL concepts to Ohio State, and they have the talent to execute them. So they made Arch Manning look very uncomfortable
Hmm.
the whole game. So that was a big takeaway. Ohio State's quarterback, Julian Sayin, they didn't really ask him to do a lot. They gave him easy throws. He had one long touchdown pass to Carnell Tate that he actually underthrew, but still was, catchable. So for a redshirt freshman in his first game to play like that. He played well, didn't turn the ball over. He was 13 of 20, but three of the seven incompletions were drops, like where he
Hmm.
hit the guys right on the hands and they dropped it. So really, he should have been 16 for 20, which, you complete 80% of your passes like that, and you're in good shape.
It's a good day. Yeah.
So the future's bright there. So good win for Ohio State. I think they should move up to number one. Some ding dongs think LSU will move up, but we'll see. Um, the Speaking of LSU, they had probably the other big win of the weekend by beating Clemson, and went on the road and beat Clemson. I think LSU's pretty good this year.
Okay.
But as long as Brian Kelly's their coach, I don't think they can be trusted.
Yeah, I agree with that. The
And
matchup,
every Notre Dame fan listening is saying amen and amen.
yes, yes. The game I was most interested in getting your thoughts on was Florida State beating Bama. That's
Yeah.
just unheard of.
And they really dominated them at the line of scrimmage. And so, in this era of college football now, with transfer and NIL money, Florida State won two. It's weird. 2 years ago, they were 13-0, didn't make the 14-team playoff because they had their quarterback get injured.
Oh
And there was
yeah.
a big controversy with that. Last year, they only won two games. They were terrible. And now this year again, they basically went out and bought a new team, and they're good again. But I don't know how good, because Bama does not look good at all. And I think what people are realizing is, um, I mean, people knew this, but it's being reinforced. Like Nick Saban was terrific,
Yeah.
and you know, Alabama without Nick Saban is an ordinary good-ish SEC team. They're not Alabama like they have been for the last 20 years with Nick Saban.
Yep.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
And so, but they got run roughshod over. Uh, so yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. And then the other big game was well, when I was growing up, this rivalry was referred to as uh, Catholics versus convicts,
Mm.
Notre Dame versus Miami, and they had a run in the late 80s and early 90s where they would play every year, and it was a big, kind of a big deal. So Notre Dame went on the road to Miami and lost 27-24. So a good close game. I think both those teams are pretty good, and I think they have a good chance of making the college football playoff. But Miami looked better on the offensive line, especially, I think. So, but I also don't trust their coaching staff in terms of their game management and that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they might end up they and Clemson will probably come out of the ACC, I think, into the college football playoff. But
Um, who does Ohio State have next week?
Grambling State.
Oh, the fierce scrambling state.
Yes. So Ohio State hits a stretch here where they start off playing the number one team in the country, and then they end up having a stretch of weeks where they will be favored by 30 plus, 40 plus points in these games. So I haven't seen the line yet for what they are with Grambling State. They do play Ohio University, my alma mater, coming up on September 13th, I think. So we
And
shall see.
who will you root for in that game?
Oh, absolutely, Ohio State. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, so a great weekend of college football. This episode will drop after Bill Belichick makes his debut, but obviously we're recording before that, so it will be interesting to see what Belichick is like as a college coach. And will we have? I'm curious on the broadcast. Will there be any discussion of his? Is it 25-year-old girlfriend?
Well, will she be on the sideline? Is she taking classes? What's her? Yeah, I think there are questions to be asked there.
Oh, there are questions to be asked, but I think it seems like although they've not come out and quite said it, I think they're very content with people drawing the obvious conclusion as to what's going on there. Like when you have a very much older man and a very much younger woman like that,
Mm,
you know, I think people tend to draw conclusions that in this case are probably relatively accurate.
yeah.
And we'll let the listener just fill in the blanks themselves on that.
Okay.
Um, let's talk about your Mets here real quick. Where do
Yeah.
we stand? How we doing heading into the last month of the regular season here?
Yeah, we're playing a bit inconsistent. So it's been an exciting week. So we were 5 games back, 6 games back, 7 games back of the Phillies at the start of the week, and we swept them at home.
That's
Uh,
big.
and not yeah, and just sort of destroyed them. It was like there was one close game, but the rest of them were pretty much blowouts. Uh, and then the Fierce Fish came to town, and we lost 3 of 4. So a little bit of the get yourself up for your major opponent, and
Hmm.
then have somebody come in and that's a lesser opponent and beat you. So we did have Jonah Tong debut this week as a starting pitcher. Have you seen Jonah Tong? Have you seen any of him
Nope.
online? His pitching style is basically Tim Lincecum from about 15 years ago. In fact, they did side-by-side comparisons on Twitter of how he looks versus Tim Lincecum looks. And to get our analytics in here, the average four-seam fastball goes up by about 18 inches, and Jonah Tong's goes up 24.
Okay.
Uh, so he's got a lot of move on his fastball, and so that's really exciting to see and a lot of fun to watch. Plus, he's just a really fun personality. You should type Jonah Tong into Twitter, and they're calling him. He's obviously Asian. He's not American. He's Canadian, Asian Canadian. So they're calling him the Canadian Cannon. They
Hmm.
put, they had Canadian themed snacks in the stadium. They put
And
maple leaves over the K symbols.
and what would those Canadian themed snacks be?
They were putting maple syrup on hot dogs in the stadium.
That sounds so gross.
There was, I think you could get poutine in the stadium.
Now, yes. Have you had poutine?
Yes, I have. I'll tell you off air where I've had poutine, but very,
I had
very
a,
good.
I had
Very,
a
very
student bring a Canadian student bring that into class.
so
Um,
good. Sausage gravy over.
and
Oh,
but
it's
see,
so
here's the thing. She brought it in for Greek class, which meets at 8 in the morning, and that's just not an 8 a.m.
no,
food.
no. It's a
Like
late
that's just
night sort of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
anyway,
so we had him debut this week. We had another rookie debut. He just made his third start. Looks really, really good. And so the two of them are shining stars right now. Everybody else looks like hot garbage on our pitching staff. So we've got a month to figure it out. I think we're pretty safely going to make the playoffs, barring some sort of collapse by us. So we'll see.
okay. Well, we need to move on to our main topic for the day. John, why don't you tell us what it is we are talking about?
Yeah, so I think I sent you this article because we needed a filler. Did I send this to you, what, 10 days ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Um, the title of the article is on the TGC website, How AI is Changing Job Opportunities for New College Grads. And it sort of starts out with, some of the hand wringings and some of the sweaty palms out there in thought world land about whether it's the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, about AI coming along and taking away entry level jobs, right? They talk
Hmm.
specifically about coders, how a senior level coder can code something that would have taken 4 or 5 entry level coders to do. He can do it in a couple of hours with the use of AI. And it sort of morphs into a interview style article where they have questions that are answered, but it's all around this theme of AI and basically taking over jobs and what to study at university, things like that.
Hmm.
And we've talked about AI in a few ways. I think we've talked about them from the perspective of the professor. We're both nervous about cheating um, in
Yep.
the classroom, certainly, but that's not the focus of this article. The focus of this article is how is this changing the landscape of work and what should impact what impact will it have on students going forward? And one of the points they make, and I'll get us started here with this comment. I don't know that I've shared this with you, so this will be new information. I'm very excited for you to hear it. Uh, they make the comment that like people skills, right? Right. Get to know people.
Hmm.
AI can do a lot of things. It cannot, have an adult conversation. There is now, and they are targeting me. They want me to buy this for Grace. There is a group that produces an AI bot that's keyed in on Grace's website, that's keyed in on our history, that's keyed on basic facts about us, and we give them 1,000 people to contact, and they will fundraise off this 1,000 people through text messages, through email. They even have a service where the AI can write a card to them,
Hmm.
and the returns on this are incredible. So it's only been out about a year, but it's raised like $5 million across 75 universities or something like that. And they're seeing incredible feedback from people who love their AI fundraiser.
So, are you concerned that your job is now in danger?
No, I'm not. Mostly because these AI fundraisers are, I think, really helpful, and I think we could certainly benefit from them. However, most of the gifts, like I think the largest gift it's ever brought in has been 20,000 or $25,000.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask about in terms of I can envision that kind of thing generating small donations.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, people are not going to fork over, I would think, large amounts of a gift without a relationship with a human being.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's a world, and maybe I'll eat crow on this, but I don't think there's a world in which they are regularly getting over $25,000 in gifts.
Yeah. So, I mean, something like that could theoretically um, help fill in the margins, so to speak, and
Yeah.
maybe draw in some gifts from people that otherwise wouldn't give, or otherwise you don't have the bandwidth to necessarily reach out to consistently.
Yeah, I mean, where I've thought about it and where it'd be helpful is we have about 55,000 people in our database to reach out to. There are three plus the president, four people reaching out to individuals in that database. Four people reaching out
Hmm.
to 55,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Could we give it 1,000 and let it go nuts? You know?
Yeah. 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 Interesting.
So, but what did you? I took us off the article a little bit, but what did you think of the article?
Yeah, I mean, I think that um, at one level, I find myself thinking, um, this is just the latest iteration of how technology changes the job market, right?
Mm. Yeah,
When you think about how did the assembly line transform manufacturing? Well, when you automate a bunch of things, you end up eliminating certain human jobs because you can create an assembly line, a set of machines that can do it faster and more effectively and don't need vacation time and don't get sick and like so to me this is just the latest iteration of that. And so um I do think that I find myself kind of bouncing back and forth between um I don't know if I don't know if I'm a technology optimist or a technology pessimist.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm probably about in the middle, to be honest. Um, So on the one hand, you've got these technology optimists who basically think AI is going to solve, just about every conceivable problem possible.
Sure.
And then you've got the pessimists who are like, I just need to move out to Montana and disconnect from everything. And technology isn't all it's cracked up to be. And I just want to disengage from all of it. And lots of people at points in between. And I have sympathies towards both of those directions. um, but I do think that one thing that is becoming more and more evident with AI, and this is I'll tie this into the job market here, um, is how consistently AI is in essence programmed or designed to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And there can be a certain appeal to that for sure, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it appeals to our ego. It appeals to, not always the better parts of our character. But um, there will still be a strong market for people who have good people skills, who are good critical thinkers and are good with people, know how to interact with people well. I feel like if you can do those two things well, you're going to be all right in just about any kind of economy and technological advancements.
Mhm. I, thinking about the tech optimist versus the tech pessimist, I think I find myself when it comes to productivity and work being more on the tech optimist side.
Hmm.
And I think where I tend towards a little bit more pessimism is asking the question, how is it changing us?
Sure.
How is it shaping us? She makes, and I don't think she makes it strongly enough, but in her "What's your biggest worry about AI?" She talks about grappling with how to use AI in the classroom and makes the comment that friction is necessary for learning. She never wants to say to fourth graders, just use a calculator. Don't memorize multiplication tables.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's benefit to that, and just like I think there's benefit to writing and not using these, GBT. I think we're at 5 now, to write a paper for you. Right there's benefit in it. However, I think if you're writing marketing copy for social media posts for your company, I'm pretty okay with you using AI to do that. It
Yeah.
seems to be a good use of your time rather than on uh, some form of pointless dribble.
Yet at the same time, that person, eh, you still need someone who knows marketing well enough to look at that and go, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Or I can take about 70% of that and filter out the 30% that's hot garbage and tweak it to make it better.
yeah,
Um, which still requires a level of knowledge and expertise. Um, but I mean, I think, and maybe it's because of what I do for a living. I haven't delved into the as much of the AI productivity stuff as you have. So I really haven't,
Hmm.
could I be attracted to some of that? Maybe. But when I sit there and think, what would I love it if AI could do in my work? When I think of like my writing projects and things like that, like I don't want to write anything for me,
Sure.
but I'm working on edits on a project right now where I literally have to go through and I have to eliminate the space between the verse reference and the first word of that biblical text. And there are literally thousands of these. That's what I want AI to do for me. I want to be able to tell AI, go in and eliminate all of those. But I can't. It doesn't work that way. There's no
I'll give you another
macro.
example that would be awesome for your work. Indexing.
Yes. Though I think there are some indexing tools out there that
Hmm.
probably start you down the road and then you'd have to fill in. But yes, things like that, which I think the only I think the only work of mine that I've indexed was actually my published dissertation. And I didn't do a subject index. I just did like the scripture index
Hmm.
and an author index, things that are pretty easy to do. They're just tedious
Yeah.
and time consuming.
It's basically Control F, right? And then you go look for it and
Yeah, I mean, you're working back through the manuscript and you go, oh, that's the first time I've referenced Kevin Van Hooser. So then you search for all the Van Hoosers and, you know, put all the page references there. Like that, that's that's tedious work.
sure.
Um, so there are things that I wish I could do. I will say that one thing, I mean, I think you mentioned this to me, and maybe I think we've talked about this off pod, but that so the learning management system we use is called Canvas.
Yeah.
And there's a feature that we don't have, but you can add to it, right? Where you can add this to Canvas where it it creates an AI bot that knows that looks at your course
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
it
have seen
and it
this.
and it can answer questions. So a student could type into this AI bot, um, what are the requirements for this assignment? And it would spit back the answer. Or, you know, how much of the grade is worth this? Or what is on the quiz for Tuesday or things like that. And the idea being that it would reduce the amount of emails that a professor would receive and save time that way, right? Not having
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
answer those questions. Of course, I I don't know that I'm confident enough that it would give the right answers.
Well, and part of that so I've had this, so I have something for my email that's similar. So I have an AI search in my email where I can go, what are my flight details for next week? And it will spit them back out to me, or I can go, what's the confirmation code for my flight or my
Hmm.
whatever. Those little dumb things you need that like live in your
Yes.
email, but you can never find them, right? I have a search tool for that. And about 80% of the time, it's great. However, there are some, and for listeners, I'm pointing at myself, some user error, right? Where I have context in my head that I have not given to the AI about
Yeah.
what I need, and it really struggles to get it back to me.
Yeah.
So all that to say, your students would type in what they think they need, use the
Yes.
wrong word, uh, 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 somehow it would pull the wrong assignment, and then you're up a crick.
Yeah. Yeah. I do wonder, um, in terms of AI, I wonder if we will eventually have something like this. Like imagine an AI that you could have do something like this where the only data like obviously a big piece of how AI works is what information are you giving it to work with? Like
Hmm.
what sort of information do you give it? But let's say you could give it all of the writings of D.A. Carson. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. Just that's nothing else. No G.K. Beale in there, no N.T. Wright, whatever, just D.A. Carson. And then you could ask it, um, what does D.A. Carson think about? And then you give it a topic like, predestination or something, or
Sure.
how does D.A. Carson interpret Romans 3:21 through 25 or 26? And it would be able to look across that database of information and synthesize and then spit back to you with sourcing that you would know would be accurate because you've limited it to an accurate database of here's his writings. Like I could see something like that being useful if you could develop it well enough where it was accurate, right?
Yes, yes. I've had this conversation with a foundation where they were like, "What if we did this for Friedrich Hayek?" Or, and then the guy started throwing it out to me, knowing I'm a theology. He goes, "What if we did it for Jesus?" And I went like, "Hold the phone. Like, let's keep our distance from the Son of God and AI here. Let's
Yeah.
let's watch out." But you want to do it for Tim Keller and plug all his sermons and books in there.
Yeah.
Or Don Carson would be a great one. Or honestly, N.T. Wright would be a great one.
Yeah.
These guys that have massive amounts of work out there that could be searchable and searched. I think the issue would be is like I'm trying to think of a good example, but somebody that changes their mind over time,
Yeah.
right? And you have all their work, the 40 years worth of works, and from their work, at year two, from their work at year
Hmm.
38, their ideas have shifted, things have changed, the society around them has changed, and therefore shaped those ideas, and they just go, huh, yeah, it looks like he says both things. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. But even there, you see where our conversation has drifted, and some of this is, I think, generational. We're thinking of using AI um, as sort of advanced level kind of research on this kind of
Yep.
question. Like, there's this information out there, and you can access it and synthesize it very quickly for me. That'll save me time. That's what we're talking about. That's not generative kind of AI stuff where it's, you know, produce something from scratch essentially.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's a very different form. Um,
Well, and then another form that I think the article is probably a little closer to is, my goodness, how do productivity wise, like I use one app for AI where when I'm in office, which has been rare recently, um, I will sit down on Monday and plan out all the tasks I need to get done that week and guesstimate how much time it's going to take me, and it plugs it into my calendar blank space and tells me what to work on when.
mhm.
And I put due dates on it and things like that. Um, that's really simple. I could probably do that on my own, but it's nice that I don't have to think about it. It's just done.
Yeah, and I'm sure that saves you time. I mean,
Saves me a bit of time. Yeah.
and yet you're still in control of it, right? If it spits something out and it's like, oh, okay, you should work on task A on Thursday afternoon from, 1 to 2, you might go, yeah, I'm coming off of a lunch where I'm going to be drained or something like that. Or like,
Yep.
you say, that's not the right time for that.
Yep.
Move that to Tuesday at 3.
Absolutely. I can totally do that.
So, anyway, I mean, I think the critical thinking skills, the people skills, and this is where, um, you know, this is where I think if an institution like Grace continues to remain true to its liberal arts university heritage, that our goal is not just career readiness in the sense of we're going to teach you job skills. Now, we want you to be ready and we will teach you some job skills, but skills can change. And, even more and more, you get employers who are like, look, I can bring you in and I can train you how to do this in like 2 weeks. What I can't necessarily train you to do in 2 weeks is how to be a good critical thinker
Yep.
or how to carry a conversation with a potential client or how to resolve conflict between, like the sort of people skills, soft skills that are harder to train. So anyway, we could talk AI endlessly, but
And we probably will again. Like I just don't see this topic going away for
no,
us.
no, I don't think so either. So, but it is time now for this day in sports history.
All right, this day in sports history, September 2nd, 2025. Does September always feel like the month that kicks off fall, right? Doesn't it feel like fall has now officially sort of begun?
Yes, and especially, I mean, today we're recording on Labor Day. Labor Day's early this year. It's literally as early as it can be.
Sure.
Um, but again, in my brain, summer runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Once you get past Labor Day, it is officially fall. And
Yeah.
and honestly, it's my um, favorite weather time of the year. I feel like the September and the first 2 weeks of October are the best weather weeks in the Midwest
Yeah.
that we get.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good one. All right. 1960, American sprinter Wilma Rudolph wins the coveted 100-meter gold medal at the Rome Olympics in 11 seconds. Beats Britain's Dorothy Hyman by zero point 0.3 seconds. First of three gold medals for Rudolph.
Okay. Wilma, not a very common name these days.
Yeah, I'm holding back from doing a Flintstones Wilma scream right now. Also in 1960, uh, Tamara and Irina Press of the Soviet Union, dum dum dum, become the first sisters to win the Olympic gold medals. Tamara wins the Rome Olympic shot put one day after Irina wins the 80-meter hurdles.
There you go. A dynasty. The press sisters.
Yeah, yeah. Were the were the Russians using, were the Soviets using steroids at this point?
I think that's a fair question. I don't know that I have an answer for it.
Okay. 1966, Joe Hour,
Sure.
how's that pronounced? Returns the opening kickoff 95 yards for a Miami touchdown in the Dolphins' first NFL regular season game. The Oakland Raiders, though, go on to win the game 23 to 14 at the Orange Bowl, but for 26,776 fans.
That's not a very big crowd.
No, that's not a very big crowd. 1971, teenage uh, debutantes. Is that how that's
Deb
pronounced? Debutantes.
debutantes.
Debutantes. Chris Evert and Jimmy Connors win their first matches at the U.S. Open Tennis Championship at Forest Hills.
Yes, indeed.
1972, for the first time since the advent of the modern Olympics in 1896, a non-American wins the pole vault gold medal, East German. Hmm. Wolfgang Nordwig clears 5.5 at the Munich Games, 5.5 meters at the Munich Games.
I
And
had no idea that the Americans dominated
I had no
pole
idea.
vault for that long. Yeah.
Um, Now, the East Germans definitely using some steroids, right? I mean, in 1972.
By 72, yeah, for sure.
Okay. 2021, in the first collegiate start, CJ Stroud threw touchdown passes to Chris Olave. Am I pronouncing that?
Olave.
Olave, excuse me.
Come on,
Garrett
you should
Wilson
recognize that name. Come on. That's poor, John. That's poor. Come on.
and Travian Henderson to lead Ohio State to a 45-31 win over Minnesota in Minneapolis.
Yes, indeed.
Well, Doc, who do you like?
I mean, I feel like we have good options here. Um, Obviously, I'm partial to CJ Stroud, but I could also go with Wilma Rudolph. And I wouldn't be opposed to going with the Press sisters either. But if you're too biased against the Soviets, I
I
can.
am against the Soviets. I'm
Okay.
okay going with CJ. That sounds good to me.
All right. We'll go with CJ Stroud. One thing you liked.
All right. This weekend, Andrea and I saw the new Superman movie.
Yeah,
Doc,
how
have you
was it?
seen it?
I haven't. No.
So it's made by the same director who did Guardians of the Galaxy,
Okay.
which Guardians of the Galaxy is just fun and weird.
Yes.
And I thought that would be much more difficult in a Superman movie because Superman is neither fun nor weird. And it was fun and it was weird.
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It
Huh.
had some real nerd moments that I didn't fully. I'm not a comic book guy, so I just don't get.
All
But I'm
right.
like, sure, we can go with that premise that this can happen. Sure, that sounds great, and just
Yeah.
sort of let it happen.
Okay.
But yeah, really, I thought it was a fun Superman movie. I thought it was the best Superman movie of my adult lifehood.
Better than Man of Steel?
Yeah, I thought it was better than Man of Steel.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I would put up there as my favorite of that.
They
Uh,
skipped the whole origin story. Like there were some assumptions made that you just sort of knew who Superman was
okay.
stepping into the theater.
Huh.
Um, and they covered the past in like a couple of lines on screens, sort of
Hmm.
like at this year this happened,
Yeah.
and it just sort of got right into the story, which I think was a good move.
Hmm. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, it was tempting to go with the Ohio State Texas game as my one thing I liked, but
Mm.
and I'm a huge college football fan, so this is a big weekend for me uh, with the start of college football back. But I am gonna go with this morning before we hit record here. My wife and I played some pickleball with some good friends of ours, and that was a lot of fun. Um, at first, Kate and I did not play especially well, which was not fun. But
Mm.
eventually, kind of picked up our game a little bit, and so some good pickleball action felt like a good way to spend a Labor Day morning. Uh, and again, this is the sweet spot of the year when it comes to weather. So beautiful
Yeah.
temperatures outside, just great.
Oh yeah.
So that is my one thing I liked. Before I do my close, I feel like we have to do a shout out here, John,
Oh boy.
to Nate in Ohio. He and his beloved bride had their third
That's
child,
right.
their third daughter. And
Man,
so
that guy's surrounded.
that's right, a lot of estrogen in that
Yeah.
house there. So props to him. Congratulations to Nate in Ohio and his bride on their third daughter. So all right, John, we have talked some college football. We have talked about AI and the job market and all sorts of things related to AI. We have talked about CJ Stroud's first collegiate start. We talked about you and your beloved bride going to see the new Superman movie. And we talked about me playing some pickleball.
Nice.
So I think, by definition, we have covered our various and sundry topics. And so all that's left to say is, until next time, the Lord bless y'all real good.
Later.